Hello everyone, I hope you are all doing absolutely fantastic, and I welcome you back to another ParaNerd Shares. Today we are going to be showing some books that I have recently acquired. If you don't know, I'm an avid reader. I love horror books. That's all. I know I do like some science fiction, but I'm all usually about horror. Especially if it has like killer creatures, animals, monsters especially. I'm all about it. I will definitely read it. But here is some of my recent pickups. We have The Chambers of Horror, Great Tales of Terror and the Supernatural. And these are picked up from a Facebook marketplace. I belong to a group and that, talks about horror books and stuff like that. And this is what I had the pleasure of picking up. The ghoulish, disturbing, and macabre tales contained in this anthology of fear, again, I'm reading this through my phone screen, draw the reader into a world inhabited by the dark and threatening monsters of nightmare. Legendary creators of horror and suspense, such as the father of vampire literature, Bram Stoker, and Ambrose Bierce, combine within these pages with modern writers like psycho author Robert Bloch and phenomenal bestseller writer Stephen King. Their stories, unfortunately, there's a piece of tape there, I can't really read that. I think it says their stories average from grisly supernatural revenge, as in The Squaw, to black humor of a fantastic nature in Edifice Complex, and the mystery and menace of fiendish possession in The Night of the Tiger. The collection encompasses recognized masterpieces of the genre, such as H.P. Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horror. Dunwich or Dunwick? I always say Dunwick. What do you think it is, Dunwich or Dunwick? A sustained evocation of monstrous violence in a sleepy Midwestern town, as well as stories by famous authors not usually associated with this type of fiction, like H.G. Wells and Robert Silverberg, for example. Within this chamber of horrors also lurk haunted houses such as I. Russell Wakefield's The Red Lodge, psychological tortures of a peculiarly unpleasant kind, as in The Cloth of Madness by C. Barry Quinn, and the masterful use of understatement and surprise endings in stories by Rudyard Kipling and Robert Aickman. From underwater monsters to bloodthirsty ghouls, from evil that lies just beneath the surface of domestic comfort and security to cannibalism 21st century style. This chilling compendium of terror is calculated to send a shiver down the spine of the most hardened devotee of horror fiction. So that's the first book. Next book is The Montauk Monster. It kills. On a hot summer night in Montauk, the bodies of two local bar patrons are discovered in the dunes, torn to shreds, their identities unrecognizable. It breeds. In another part of town, a woman's backyard is invaded by four terrifying creatures that defy any kind of description. What's clear is that they're hostile and they're ravenous. It spreads. With every sunset, the terror rises again, infecting residents with a virus no one can cure. The CDC can't help them, FEMA can't save them, but each savage attack brings Suffolk County Police Officer Gray Dalton one step closer to the shocking source of these unholy creations. Hidden on nearby Plum Island, a U.S. research facility has been running top-secret experiments. What they created was never meant to see the light of day. Now a vacation paradise is going straight to hell. Ooh, that sounds good. Plum Island is a fascinating subject to research if you ever get a chance to. It might be something I'll cover eventually on the channel. Here we have Killer, a novel by Peter Tonkin. Oh yeah, that last one was by Hunter Shea. By Peter Tonkin. They were caught in the ultimate trap. They faced the ultimate terror. 5 men and 1 beautiful woman marooned on a floating island of Arctic ice. Together they have the equipment and skills to fight the freezing cold, the violently savage storms. Then suddenly from the angry seas the jaws of horror opened wide as nature's deadliest creature rose from the depths. A huge killer whale of enormous intelligence, incredible power, indestructible endurance, ravenous for human prey. That sounds like a good one. I enjoyed Orca, the killer whale, the movie and the book, so I really looking forward to that one. The Guardian, the riveting novel by author of the million-copy bestseller, The Sentinel. And apparently my dog is having the zoomies upstairs, so if you hear that, I apologize, but she's running around like a mad woman. Evil is raging on the 20th floor of an apartment building on the west side. In an open window, a hideous blind nun perpetually gazing, watching a body burned beyond recognition, then 2 more murders, strangely connected, and the discoverer, a beautiful young woman raped, her innocent child exposed to horror, her husband furiously, relentlessly set on revenge, a cool, calculating, laughing priest intent on saving more lives from destruction, and so it begins, powerful, satanic, terrifying, a time you will never forget. That is The Guardian, written by Jeffrey Convitz. Here we go. Here's another one of them. Killer Animals. The Killer Flies by Mark Kendall. What has Killer Flies got? Let's see. First, they feasted on our farm animals. Then they found humans. A little girl was dead, attacked and mutilated by some things, creatures of nightmare that were spreading outward like the Black Death, stripping entire towns bare of life. The death toll mounted, with bodies maimed or ripped to shreds, and thousands cowered in the shadows, hiding fearfully from the depths out of the sky. The millions of sucking proboscis eerily reaching out for the attack, and terror erupted into uncontrollable panic as a lone scientist worked feverishly to save a dying population and destroy the killer flies. It's an interesting concept. I mean, I know flies are tiny, but I am interested to see how this pans out. It sounds very interesting to me. Nightwing by Martin Cruz Smith. Let's see, do we have a synopsis anywhere? Let's see. The old Indian sits in the heat of his dark in the painted desert. The Hopis, his people, are dying a slow death, the death of the desert. Navajos are taking their land, the Indian Bureau is selling Hopi water, and the energy companies are ripping apart the sacred mesa. Against such power, what can one old medicine man do? The colored sands hiss through his hand into an intricate painting, black for death, red for blood. I'm going to end the world, he tells young Mandurin, a bemused and cynical ex-convict the Hopis have made into a deputy, but not quite into a lawn man. When the young man smiles today. Next morning, the old medicine man is dead, bled to death, where he lies in the center of his painting. That is the start of his prophecy come true. Every night from then on, death stirs. It's a call, it's a whisper. Its wings are wide and gossamer thin. Its teeth are sharp as knives. Its grotesque appetite insatiable, as carrier for the most virulent of all diseases. This death becomes a tide that threatens to sweep man from the American Southwest. The burden of destroying the death falls on Youngman, who alone has understood the words of the painting, and the obsessed scientist. And on the obsessed scientist Hayden Payne, whose life is the pursuit of death. Together in this chilling novel of suspense, they journey to the one place of the Hopi, both holy and infected, whereas the wise man had told the choice must be made to live or die, and be made quickly, for night is falling. Ooh. The Snake. I love, again, killer creatures. anything to do with snakes, even though I've been having strange nightmares of snakes lately, but I still love snake movies and snake books and all kinds of stuff. Its eyes are bright, its tongue is black, it is 11 feet long. And while a young scientist and a determined cop race against time while a mob of cultists whip the city into fear, into terror, it kills silently with grace and skill again and again. This is not a book you can read a little bit at a time. The last page is probably the ultimate in horror, by the San Francisco Examiner. Ooh, so this is The Snake by John Godey, the author of The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, and 3. I've seen the movie, both the original and the remake. I did enjoy those. I haven't read the book, but maybe down the line. Now here we have John Ferris's Scare Tactics. Let's see what Scare Tactics is about. Scare Tactics is John Ferris' most shocking work to date, featuring The Guardians, a previously undiscovered Ferris novel. Scare Tactics presents the most demonic psychopath ever created. More deadly than Psycho, more twisted than Red Dragon. Trapped in his maelstrom of evil are two innocent children. Only they can stop the madman if they survive. In addition to The Guardian, Scare Tactics contains two completely new source works. The Order of Violets and Horror Show. Here's John Ferris at his crisply terrifying best. As the New York Times said, few writers have Mr. Ferris's talents for masterfully devious plotting, the shatteringly effective use of violence and deft characterizations, and scenes of gibbering horror, guaranteed to turn the blood to gelatin. You will never forget Scare Tactics. It will take you from the supernatural sorcery of ancient Babylon to the awful spectacle of reincarnated gods, from the terrifying mysteries of life after death to the horrendous power of forces from beyond the grave. Welcome to John Ferris's world. Can you take it? Well, that sounds interesting. That'll be interesting to delve into. So yeah, that have been some recent book acquirements. I will have more down the road, but just wanted to share those for you and kind of tell you what they were about and how much I'm looking forward to reading those. And of course, I will be reviewing them as I read them, so be prepared for that. So I thank you so much for another ParaNerd Shares. Thank you all for turning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, then there will definitely be more coming. So, this is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching, and this is the ParaNerd, signing off.